Have you ever wondered how hope turns into horror in just seconds? That's the chilling question at the heart of our story. When Yak-Service Flight 9633, carrying almost the entire Lokomotiv Yaroslavl hockey team, became one of the most devastating tragedies in sports history. On 7th September 2011, a Yakovlev Yak-42D, chartered by the Russian airline Yak-Service, took off from Tunoshna Airport near Yaroslavl, bound for Minsk. On board were 37 passengers and 8 crew. Among them were star athletes, coaches, and staff of the Lokomotiv Yaroslavl Ice Hockey Club, heading to their first game of the 2011-12 season. As the plane roared down the runway, tragedy was already taking shape. Instead of a clean climb, the aircraft struggled to gain speed. Investigators later determined that a pilot had applied the brakes, unintentionally, because of incorrect foot placement on the rudder pedals. Meanwhile, the co-pilot lacked sufficient training on the Yak-42. And shockingly, he also had a banned sedative, phenobarbital, in his system. Add to that falsified documents. Both pilots claimed to be qualified on the Yak-42, but in reality, their training was deeply inadequate. At about 185 km/h, the nose wheel finally lifted off, but there was no real climb. The runway ended beneath them, and despite lifting briefly, the aircraft couldn't gain enough altitude. It clipped a localizer antenna, the wing was damaged, and the Yak-42 tumbled towards the banks of the Volga River, before exploding in a fireball. Of the 45 people on board, 44 perished, including almost the entire locomotive team and coaching staff. Only the flight engineer survived the initial crash. Another player survived briefly, but later died from his injuries. This was not a freak accident. It was a cascade of human error, insufficient training, falsified credentials, and tragic misjudgment. In the aftermath, the investigation was brutal and unforgiving. Yak-Service was held accountable for systemic failures. Imagine the lives lost, the silence on the ice forever, and the families shattered in an instant. This is not just a story about a crash. It's a somber destination where dreams, negligence, and fate collided.